Everyone. Um, I'm Rangadad, and this is just a quick update on where the market's at, what I'm seeing. Um, this chart here is probably the more important one for me at the moment. If you don't know, these are sort of some indicators that I'm working on, but don't worry too much about them. What I wanted to point out is those that are in the same communities that I'm in would know that I've had this level, which is 29,450. I've said 29,500 as a potential target for quite a while now. The reason being is it's a vector candle wick on a relatively high time frame, and normally they get recovered reasonably quickly. Now, this is not what I would probably call reasonably quickly. That's what's that? 110 bars, 4 hours, 20 odd days. So it's taken a while, but we've eventually gotten there. And I also sort of had this level here, about the 31,400-ish level, 31,450. That was a target. When this broke through that and then rejected straight away, obviously that was going to be a failure. And the rejection came back down below this previous high, which was there. Typically, for a good run, you want to see clean break, come back, not necessarily the next bar. Generally, it'll come back slowly, hit that same level, and bounce away from it. You don't get many closures below that breakout level. So that was why I didn't sort of FOMO into anything at that point, but still expected it to come down. Now, what we've got here is we've got a big vector candle right there. To even partially recover that, we haven't done yet. So that's 30,729. Does it need to do that right now? No. I think we are headed towards this lower level. This is the PMARP. I use slightly different settings to what Crown does. I'm still playing with this. It seems like a pretty reasonable indicator to combine with the other ones that I'm using for the bot. But yeah, still having a play with it. Provides pretty good confluence really for what I'm doing. So what I wanted to point out is we've got a big vector candle here, 27,500 roughly to the middle of it. And there's another one here which we've kind of recovered to the middle of that, 29,400-ish. That, the open and close, what's that, 28,942, 29,853. So that's an $1,100 candle, open to close. And yeah, you probably, yeah, we're going to get close, or we've probably already got close to recovering that with that candle there. So if we break below this, this is a really key level for me. And I want to see a proper break, close. With crypto, you tend not to get a retrace on the lower breaks. They tend to go really quickly. It's just a waterfall. So, and it's because of all the leverage liquidations that you have in there. But it looks like that's what it's heading for. We got sort of still rising volume here, which isn't great, but we are starting to get sort of overextended to the downside on this current move. Because we're below the 50 EMA, there's still potential for more downside. And the one thing to really be careful of here, we've got a little bit of confluence with a downside move past that coming into this sort of level to get this vector candle, and that's the 800 EMA. So if we don't sort of, and like it almost recovered I'd probably consider that a recovery there. That low is 29,538. That's really close. A couple $100. That's really close. The 200 EMA is normally a pretty big level as well. As you can see, it wicked it and bounced off. It hit it and bounced perfectly on the 1 hour. And we've hit it again here and we've closed right on it. So this 4 hour candle's pretty important. If you see it bounce from here, then that's a pretty good sign, but I wouldn't get too excited until we sort of get back up, probably even above the 50 EMA, to be honest. If we come back up, hit this 50 EMA and then bounce off that again, then we could actually potentially go lower. I'm actually out of most of my positions in this at the moment. The main reason is I'm investing in another project which has got a bot trader that's making more money than I can with my free time at the moment. So, but it's probably not a bad time to be out and be cautious anyway. Do I think we go down from here? No, I don't. The earnings so far hasn't scared anyone, and in fact, Nasdaq had another pump today. It's not, the hourly isn't super extended, the daily is pretty extended, but as you can see here, the Nasdaq can pump outside these Bollinger Bands for bloody weeks and not care. And there is a lot of the difference between dumb money and smart money in the market at the moment is almost unheard of. Like, they're so far apart. Check out FX Evolution. I think he posted something on Twitter yesterday about it. It's unbelievable. So these pumps, there's not a lot of big players in them. So I can guarantee if we have a good earnings season, those big players are going to have to come in. It's just everything's screaming that we have to have some sort of mean reversion here. Now, whether that's happens through sideways movement or whether we come ripping down, who knows? I'd suggest it's probably going to be more bouncy sideways movement, I think, until we get a bad earnings season or some other GFC that rips through the market. So this has been high for a while. It can stay high for as long as you can stay solvent, if not longer. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. It's just, this is a market where you have to be quick or you have to be safe. At the moment, I'm being safe, putting my money where it can make more money easier with lower risk. Again, pretty similar on the SPY. Nothing much different there. The daily's just going outside there. We are getting expansion of the Bollingers on the daily now too, which, sorry, the 4 hour. Typically when you get expansion of Bollinger Bands, you don't see it move to the other side of the average. So expanding Bollinger Bands, this one's a little bit different. It does come back down. There's a bit of contraction of the Bollinger Bands and then it rips again, but it's still sort of stayed to an upside trend. You know, it's one of those things, after big pumps, you tend to get more big pumps, but yeah, it's expanding Bollingers with price that high. I'd probably be expecting a little bit more expansion, a little bit more upside. There's nothing here that would trigger a sell signal expecting this to rip back down, for me at the moment anyway. Again, none of this is financial advice, just what I'm seeing. The other thing is the Dixie. I'll just have a quick look at that. Yeah, so the Dixie's kind of doing what I thought it might, a bit of sideways. Again, we'll see how it reacts off this Bollinger Band here. it does have some upwards momentum on the PMARP, and it's above the moving average line, so this is trending up. That's a KVO signal, these bars here. It's trending up. Cyclic RSI is trending up. We're pretty low on the mid band of the cyclic RSI. So I am expecting this to actually bounce here. That it may not. We may just go sideways and then come down again, but I don't know. I'm actually expecting the Dixie to go up a little bit, which means traditional markets really, again, depends on this earnings season. Hard to predict, but I have a feeling it's sort of going to be a bit choppy sideways. I don't think we're going to get too much down. I think we're going to have a lot of people get burnt trying to short this market, general stock market anyway. Very hard market to short right now. Whereas Bitcoin, coming back to that, I think it's going to be pretty similar, but I think if we can recover this, have a decent bounce up, then I think we'll definitely hit the top side of this range again. Potentially we break through that as well. There are some longer term signals. Check out Crown's Crypto Cave if you want to get a better idea of them. I'm not going to go into them, but my expectations would be if we see this come above the trend line, like the moving average, and it's around the bottom of this, I wouldn't be surprised if we wick below this and scare a lot of people and get all the leverages out, potentially even down to 28,956. But it's going to be a pretty quick move. If we do that slowly down to there and then come back up and we don't come back in that region, then it's more downside for me. But this is a very, very critical region, because typically if we get closures below here and if there's lots of leverage positions that get liquidated here, we can actually rip quite a bit lower. So yeah, that's what I'm keeping an eye out for at the moment. It's been freaking slow and sideways grind, so I haven't done many videos. I haven't even posted much in some of the Discord groups that I post in, just because it's been boring. Until we clear these ranges, there's not much to talk about. The good thing is we have contracted fully on the 4 hour here. The Bollinger Bands are really tight. The bad thing is we're below the 50 EMA. The Bollinger Bands are starting to expand, and look, this doesn't necessarily mean a lot at the moment. If you go back in here, typically once we start to see expansion again, we do see some contraction at some stage. So you can see here, like expansion, contraction, until we actually get the proper move. But yeah, you can see here we could just chop for ages. But yeah, because all the weekly momentum and volatility indexes and stuff like that, they're all really, really low. Probably the lowest they've been in a long time. The next decent move is going to be a pretty good one. So upside, I'm expecting probably up north of 35, probably up around 38k. Downside, yeah, downside potentially down to around 25 and a half. I'll reassess if we get down to that, but yeah, like the other pumps, we could actually come down, spike down here, and then rip up. That's happened before too. So, you know, I haven't given you much, but what I'm thinking at the moment everything that I'm seeing points to we're fairly extended to the downside on a number of time frames lower than sort of 12 hour. So I am expecting a bit of a bounce around this level. And I think it's time that we actually rip up and come through and break up to have a decent run. Right, that's all. Oh, sorry. The one thing that I was going to say is, actually, let's just go back here. Just do it on the Qs. I'll do it on the weekly. Something to consider here. This here, this run up, spike, come down, run up, potentially spike around this same sort of level. And we're not at the top of the Bollinger Bands yet. This looks really similar to the last peak that Bitcoin had, right? Let's just hide that for now. If you just look at, and we haven't hit this level here. I thought that was going to be the support that we hit around here. So I was surprised to see a double bottom off that. But if you look at this and compare it to Bitcoin, what I'm looking at is this looks pretty similar, like same sort of thing. You get a run up, you start to get all the dumb money come in, you break down, come up again, any sort of run, dumb money gets in again because there's still plenty of money floating around, which we've still got plenty of money in the system. Like there's that, all those trillions of dollars they printed is still floating around. So dumb money comes back in, pushes it up again, and then we get breakdown. And that breakdown lasts longer and goes deeper than the first one. Because of the psychology around dumb money and, you know, where they sell, where they buy, stuff like that. So Bitcoin, we pretty much exhausted everyone out here by the look of it. I am still, like, if we get another run up here, which I don't see why we wouldn't, up into this sort of region, then that's where I think we will actually have a decent retrace. I think we will come back down, potentially into this area here. So we are going back up again on the weekly too. It's not necessarily something to pay a lot of attention to, but we are above the PMARP. Coming back down a little bit. You potentially see a little bounce like that off the PMARP moving average and off the 50 line. 50 basically means you're, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Anyway, I'll leave that. That's too technical. But yeah, potentially next week we get a bounce off this PMARP. So we may not see the move this week. Like, it may not be a decent move, but we may come down enough to bounce off this. Doesn't have to though. Doesn't have to touch it. Okay. Just the fact that we're still above it means upside is probably more likely at this stage. My combined indicators turn to the upside. We haven't got expansion of the Bollinger Bands or anything, but on the weekly they really only expand when you're going through these sort of motions. Anyway, NASDAQ could potentially be doing something like this, just because of the same market psychology that drives Bitcoin and the general market overall. And it's because you have a higher percentage of dumb money than smart money at the moment, just because of all the different trading platforms, all the spare cash that's in the system, people dabbling. So see how we go, but this took quite a while to really get up. Let's say peak to peak, 31 weeks. Where are we on the Nasdaq? That's a lot of weeks. That's over a year. Anyway, hard time market, but still, that's what it's looking like. The weekly is massively overextended on the Nasdaq too, in terms of this momentum indicator. That's what would be driving that. Even the PMARP is getting pretty high. Do I think we're done yet? Not necessarily. Do I think the correction is going to be a big one? Possibly. Could we go sideways for 2 years? Absolutely. Especially if the Fed keeps interrupting things and pumping more money in. So we just got to wait for the point where they can't pump any more money in without killing the system. Anyway, that's it. I hope that helps. Just be careful. And yeah, hopefully that works out with Bitcoin bouncing off the bottom of this range. Catch ya.